Hey everybody, you're watching We the Fandom, where we discuss comic books, pop culture, and the fandom experience. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to see more content. How's it going everybody? Jacob here at We the Fandom, and in today's video, I'll be doing my breakdown and review of the 5th episode of Marvel's What If, a new Marvel Disney Plus series taking us through the multiverse and giving us alternate versions of the MCU films, with this episode simply being titled, What If Thor Were an Only Child? As will be the case with all these episodes, each alternate reality will be narrated by the Watcher, voiced by Jeffrey Wright. So this episode starts off with Jane Foster and her intern Darcy in the desert of New Mexico waiting for some type of astrological anomaly to appear, much like in the first Thor film. Jane tries to get a hold of S.H.I.E.L.D. to warn them of the event when the Bifrost hits Earth, landing in Vegas, I believe. When it lands, it ends up being Thor, Sif, and the Warriors 3, and Thor reveals that he's basically there to start a big party, because what had happened was that Odin had gone into the Odin sleep. Frigga went to visit her sister and tells Thor to stay on Asgard and to study to learn more about the Nine Realms. Of course, in this universe, Thor is a lot more carefree and a lot less responsible, so he tells his friends to alert the realms that they were going to go party on Midgard. We then get the Watcher telling us how pivotal the relationship between Thor and Loki was, that it's essentially because of Loki that Thor grew up to become an aspiring king. In this reality, however, Odin didn't return to Asgard with the infant Loki. Instead, he returned Loki to King Laufey of the Frost Giants, and it was a lack of all the lessons that he learned as a child with Loki as his brother that caused Thor to become who he is in this universe. Now, a decent chunk of this episode is just partying and showing all the different people who showed up, to include Skrulls, Ravagers, Howard the Duck, Scourge the Executioner, Korg, Nebula, even Surtur, the guy who's supposed to bring Ragnarok to Asgard. He shows up to Earth to party. And let's just say that his portrayal here is very uncharacteristic. Though we do see Thor successfully flirt with Jane, and they end up sort of hitting it off in a somewhat similar way to how they did in the first Thor movie. Also, it being Vegas, Darcy and Howard the Duck end up getting married, which is kind of weird. The next morning, S.H.I.E.L.D. picks up Jane Foster and asks her basically what she knows about eliminating the aliens, believing that Thor and all the extraterrestrial partiers are a threat. Partially because Korg accidentally knocked out Nick Fury, but also because the party is spreading across the world, causing mass chaos. That's when they decide to break out the big guns, which is to say they summon Captain Marvel. Before she shows up though, Loki and some Frost Giants show up to the party, but though not in the way that you would expect. Loki actually appears to be best friends with Thor in this world, which just feels wrong. But also Loki's in an actual Frost Giant form, which is definitely a deviation from the comics, because in the comics he was kind of a runt and therefore didn't look like the other Frost Giants. But Captain Marvel shows up, and of course a fight between her and Thor ensues, with the two being pretty evenly matched. That is until Thor basically sets Mjolnir on Captain Marvel, and because of the enchantment she can't get up. And this answers that theory that some fans have had that Captain Marvel might be worthy of wielding Mjolnir. Well, she's not. Now that their big plan didn't work, Maria Hill decides that they should maybe use actual nukes to take out Thor, but Jane has a different idea. She decides to go to Asgard, finds Thor's mother, and basically tells on Thor. And of course Thor was meant to be on Asgard studying, and since he's such a mama's boy and is actually afraid of his mother, he convinces all the partygoers on Earth to help him clean up, and then sets up a scene where he pretended that he came to Earth as a part of a cultural exchange, which he somehow buys. The episode ends with Thor asking Jane on a date, and she says yes, and then they live happily ever after. Except that they don't, because as he's walking away from her, a portal opens up in front of him with what looks like Ultrons coming out of it, led by what seems to be Vision in Ultron armor with the Infinity Stones on it. And based on the trailers, I have a feeling that he will end up being at least one of the main enemies for the multiversal Avengers, if not the main enemy. So yeah, as for what I thought about this episode, I didn't really care for it. I mean, it was basically an episode about a party, shown to us to demonstrate just how immature Thor could be. I really wish they had used all the party guests as an opportunity to introduce us to new characters. I'm not saying they should have introduced like the X-Men or something like that, but they could have pulled in a couple of obscure characters like Howard the Duck. But, this was probably the worst episode so far, and we've only got a few left, so I hope that they get better again. But let me know what you guys think about this episode in the comment section below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Also, hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.